Always so good to see you. Okay, everyone, stick around because coming up, you can see what powerful books you all need to read for 2019, especially women. We're trying to empower you even further, okay? That's coming up right after the break. Speaking of a love of reading, that's something we really would love all of you to do more in 2019. We also have a few books here in studio to help inspire that from one great woman right here. These are going to be some great reads for women themselves. We have pediatric oncologist and health optimization expert, Dr. Julie Rosenberg. She's also the author of Beyond the Mat. Great to have you here on the show.
Thanks, Melissa. Great to be here.
Yes. Okay. So why do we encourage women to read a little more literature for this year? Why is that important?
I think it's women, but it's really everyone. Reading is so important. It
Absolutely.
improves our learning. It improves our self-awareness, and it really expands our horizons. And we often see ourselves, and sometimes we can even solve our own dilemmas through the words and the voices of others.
Yeah, absolutely. Very well said. And tell us about your books. That's a great place to start.
Well, my book, Beyond the Mat, actually uses the structure of yoga, but it's just a structure, so you don't necessarily have to do yoga to develop increased leadership skills. And through those increased personal leadership skills, it really helps you to improve your life and your state of well-being. So I hope your viewers will take a look at that and think about these other books as they do that as well, because I think these other books that I've brought have also highlighted some of the leadership skills that I discussed in Beyond the Mat.
Okay, so great. So some of these books have some very simple principles that you also align with, and that's why you're encouraging others to check these out as well. So some great reads for 2019. Get out your pencil, your paper, write some of these titles down. I'd love to begin with the Michelle Obama book. What inspired you about this one?
Well, I think Michelle Obama, being the first African-American First Lady, what she does in this book is tell the reality of her situation. She speaks about her life with so much integrity and so much honesty. And she's so passionate about so many different causes,
Absolutely.
especially health and wellness, and especially the causes of children. And so I think this can be readily seen in the book, and I think the viewers would definitely identify with this one. An excellent read.
Okay, and then another notable name as well. There's a book up here by Sally Field, In Pieces.
Well, this is one of my favorites as well, In Pieces. I think Sally Field, again, is a star, is a celebrity, but for all of us, what's behind the person? And in this book, Sally really tells about some of her struggles, her personal struggles, and how she evolved, and how that evolution from struggle really helped her to be the great star that she is. So In Pieces, great book. Strongly encourage your viewers.
Okay, and what book on here particularly really stands out to you?
Well, for me, I'll tell you, my favorite person, one of them in the leadership world, is Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And one of the traits that I think we really need to have as leaders is courage. And I think, the history of RBG is so well known, and she's really become a pop icon. Her courage in trailblazing and setting the stage for other women to ascend in leadership domains is so phenomenal that this is a great book. And, of course, there's the RBG documentary and the new movie that's out as well. So really speaks to me as well. Courage in leadership and courage as a woman, trailblazing the way for us to really succeed.
I love that. Yes. And then what about this book in particular?
Well, Angela Davis, I pulled an oldie but goodie, because sometimes books that are a little bit older, they can help us. And Angela Davis, for those of you who can remember, she was in the counterculture in the early 1960s and into the 70s, and she was actually arrested, later acquitted. But in so doing, she really had an opportunity to see how women, especially African-American women, they were treated in the prisons, and obviously it wasn't good. And to this day, she's become an academic, a very courageous woman, and she's channeled her anger in a way that really is productive now as a teacher, as an educator, and as an authority on prison reform. So I strongly encourage folks to take a look back, because while we've got some great new books, sometimes our learnings can come from the past as well.
Like you said, oldies but goodies, right?
Absolutely.
Cannot be forgotten. What about The Glass Castle?
The Glass Castle is by Jeanette Walls, and she's one of my favorite writers. And this one, folks may know, it's been a bestseller in the past. She is a determined woman, another individual who comes from very humble roots. Her father was an alcoholic. Her mother was not so available, but yet she became a great journalist and an outstanding writer. Strongly encourage folks to take a read of this book.
And, you know, here on the show, we talk a lot about self-care, really finding that time to kind of focus on oneself, which we all, I think, could do a lot more of. And I know you have a book up here in particular that really spoke to you in that regard.
Yes. Blackout by Sarah Coppola talks about self-care. And actually, this is a book about a woman who was an alcoholic. And alcohol really spoke to her for such a long time. She would go to bars and stay till last call and come home totally inebriated, and she'd have trouble waking up.
Yeah.
And in that situation, she'd often experience a blackout. She couldn't remember where she was, who she was with, etc. And this is a journey from that state to her present state where she is no longer inebriated, no longer drinking, and how she really learned that self-care is so tantamount to personal leadership. Again, strongly recommended. And all these books, they speak to us in ways that people have humble roots, they have different beginnings, they have the same struggles we do. And so what we see is not necessarily the reality of a life until folks evolve and they have a different sense of themselves. So we see one reality, but there's a whole learning, a whole life.
So many journeys
really
for us to learn from, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, as we go on our own journey. Where can viewers go to find your book?
So thank you for asking. My book is widely available beyond the mat. It's in all bookstores, and it's available as a paperback, as an audiobook, and as an ebook. And I'd encourage folks to read it and improve their personal leadership, improve their well-being.
Wonderful. Dr. Rosenberg, thank you so much.
Thank you
really
for having me.
Appreciate the insight and the guidance here. I certainly will be checking out your book. As a yogi, it's going to speak to me already just by looking at it. Everyone, make sure you stick around. We have a lot more to come right here on Sack & Co right after the break.